down the hill in a recession, you go back up the hill in recovery. In the 90s, it took 7 years to get from one extreme to the other, from 91 to 98. This time it took 3 years. That's pretty fast. So I don't know if it's just, like the world on eBay, but it's happening really fast. Here, I mentioned the inflation rate. I thought I moved this chart around. It was supposed to come before the other. Maybe it's still, no. So there's that U.S. inflation rate. The Honolulu CPI for the first half of the year will be published in about 2 weeks. But it should map to the U.S. number pretty closely. Okay, so I know there's concern about deflation, but again, it's one of those things that is a risk factor. It's not that, we don't predict a double dip, and we don't predict deflation. We recognize them as risk factors, right? That you could end up where Japan was for the last 20 years. Rich and kind of quiet as an economy. And we couldn't handle being China, right? 8% growth every year, right? People in Hawaii, their heads would explode, right? And besides, people in Hawaii, they don't talk that fast, you know what I mean? So if you want an estimate of what the market thinks about inflation, you just look at the difference between nominal treasury yields on the left and real yields, which we now, the treasury now issues an inflation index security. So you can look at the difference between nominal and real yields, and up to a small inflation risk premium. The difference is the market's long-term inflation expectation, and that number is 2. Okay? It's 2. It was 2 before, and then it was 2 after that, and then it was 2 like a little bit after that. And then everybody had a cow after Lehman, and it was like negative something. And now it's back to being 2. Okay? So talk is cheap. What people are putting their bets on, this is the whole planet, including the People's Bank of China, okay, embedded in this term structure of interest rates is a long-term inflation forecast of 2. Which tells you about the credibility of monetary policy, because their forecast is 2. Okay, so that means it's credible. It means, fine, place your bets against the Fed. Go ahead, knock yourself out. But their target, actually this is their non-target target. They don't have a target. So their non-target target is 1.7 to 2%, which is about the range, click, on the implied inflation forecast from the Treasury curve. Okay, so my forecast is Hawaii just kind of follows along. It's a little slower on the uptick because technical reasons, right? Aloha Airlines went away, and the airline industry. It's a stochastic dynamic non-collusive oligopoly game, right? So when one player leaves the game, right? Here, let me give you the human being explanation as opposed to the Klingon explanation. So it's a game, and we don't get to talk to each other, right? We don't get to, hey, bro, how many planes you going to add? Okay? We tried that. Senator Inouye got Aloha and Hawaiian an exemption from antitrust law. Remember this? After 9/11? Ooh, we're so afraid. So let's let them collude. And you're like, are you serious? Yeah, bro. We'll have them share the market, and the guy that gets more than half has to pay the extra to the other guy. You remember that? See, people don't even know this happened. Remember the last time airfares were high in 2003? That's what happens with collusion, okay? 2 airlines come together as one, okay? And they charge higher prices. Well, in a non-collusive game, you don't get to talk to the other guy. So when one airline takes his planes away, everybody else kind of looks at each other thinking, I wonder if that guy's going to add planes, because if he doesn't, I won't. And after, about 30 days, well, he still hasn't added planes. And so then 2 years later, Alaska Airlines is finally starting to add some lift, and to everybody. And so now the race is on. Everybody's restoring that lift. Because of that lagged replacement of the lift lost when Aloha Airlines and ATA shut down, right? Because it took 2 years for people to re-enter to add equipment, the tourism recovery has been hung up. Okay, so you hear this. I hear this question all the time. Oh, will the Gulf Oil, not the company, the spill, will that caused more people to come to Hawaii. And I'm like, yeah, if they can get a seat, good luck with that, right? Because airlines are flying 95% load factors, so it's not, the constraint's more on the supply side. To be sure, long